Hello, Dr. Stephen Mujie here. I hope you are all doing well. We are in week 5 and we are covering group policy in this week. So I'm going to demonstrate a few things here regarding how group policy works, and that should help you with your assignments, especially the one that I have right, especially the one that I have here on the screen on group policy additions and restrictions. All right, so let's jump right into it. I'm going to bring my virtual machine, my server 2012 machine. You can see now I'm in Active Directory, and what we have done in Active Directory so far has been to add users and groups. So I have this is a user. I also added myself as a user in here. All right, so I'm down here and I have added some groups like the instruction. I believe I have the ITT 121 assignments, the IT students. Those are some of the groups that I have added. I'm going to do something that we haven't done yet, and the reason for doing that is you can apply group policies to three entities, to three things. You can apply group policy to a domain. You can apply group policies to an organizational unit. You can also apply group policy to a site. We are not dealing with sites in this class, so that's just for information purposes only. You cannot apply group policies to groups or to folders. I just wanted to highlight that even though we have created folders and groups previously, those are not going to be relevant when it comes to group policy. All right, so having said that, in Active Directory, you can see our domain here, canyonitt121.local. And actually, I do have one other group organizational unit that I created, IT students. Let's say I have users in the finance. So I will right click my domain and then go to new, and then I'll click organizational unit. So I'll give this organizational unit the name finance. All right. And then click OK. All right. So you can now see the finance organizational unit right here. You can move, you can add users to that organizational unit. Notice there is a user underneath that organizational unit. You can add them as a brand new user or as an existing user. You can go to properties of that organizational unit, and you can see this is the general information. We don't have any users in there, but you can use some. You can move some users from the container into. Oops, that's not what I wanted. If I do copy, or actually that copy there is for creating a new user. I'm going to click move that one user and move them to finance. Access is denied for that, but that's okay. So I have added an organizational unit. You can see how that organizational unit looks is different from the user's containers or from the groups that we have created. All right, so having that, I'm going to close Active Directory because in order for us to apply policies, would apply them in a different from a different place. To apply organizational units, to apply group policy, excuse me, you can go into administrative tools, or you can come down below here. Okay, and notice there is the group policy management. That's a feature that's automatically added when you add Active Directory domain services. All right, so this is our forest. This is below our forest. There is our domain, and this is the domain name, as you can see here. If I expand it, notice within this, I do have the finance organizational unit. I have the IT students organizational unit, and there is the default domain policy. So if I wanted to add a group policy, I can right click where I want to add it, and then I can click create a GPO in this domain and link it here, or I can go through the wizard, group policy modeling wizard. There are different ways that you can do it. You can actually add a new organizational unit from the group policy management as well. So if you have another existing GPO, you can link it to the domain. But when you link it to the domain, all the users, everything that is underneath that domain gets affected by that policy unless you make some changes. So that's one thing in mind. It might be that you want to create an organizational unit that does not affect domain-wide, that only affects a segment. In that case, that's where the organizational unit comes into play. And notice these are our organizational unit for the finance. I just created it. There's no group policy. There's no default domain policy in there. I can right click it and then go to create a GPO in this domain. Let's give it the name budget restrictions. Okay, you can create it from a source starter, more like templates. You can use some templates to start with, or you can simply click none. Now notice there is the budget restriction group policy. I've simply added it, and in there I have not edited it in any way. So, and if I were to right click and then go to edit, anything that I'm going to do within this domain policy, notice it's linked to the finance organizational unit. So this will affect all users who are in the finance organizational unit. So keep in mind, where you apply your policy, whether you apply it at the domain or at the organizational unit, if I configure this one is going to affect all the users within the domain, within this domain. Or if you have different sites, you can create your organizational units for each of those sites. So I'm going to the domain-wide policy. I'm going to right-click. Actually, let's go to finance. I'm going to click under finance and then edit. They look just about the same. You have your computer configurations. These affect the computers. Down below, you have the user configurations. If you click policy, I'm going to go under Windows settings. One of the popular policies that you are going to see have to do with account passwords. That's under the computer configuration, Windows settings. And for that, we'll need to drill it down into security settings. Under security settings, notice we have account policies. All right, so under account policies, we do have the password policy. If you double click it, notice there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 policies that you can configure. Nothing is configured on here on this domain yet. So you can see down over here by not defined. You can go to password must meet complexity requirements. If you double click it, Notice this is not defined. You want now if I click enabled, then apply, click OK. All right, now it's enabled. The password history, that's another popular one. I want to define that. I want the server to keep a record of 10 passwords, meaning that the user cannot use the 10 previously used passwords. If I click apply and then OK, notice this is now enforced, and there's a brief description of that policy here. Now, the users will be forced to not use the same password. At least by the time they get to password number 11, they can use it. And this policy is going to apply to all the domain users when they log on the computer. So keep that in mind. There are thousands of policies in active in group policy. So play with it, take a look, and see how the different policies work. The other one that I'm going to show you, I'm going to come down here under the user configuration. And then for this one, I'm going to go to, let's see, administrative templates. And then I'm going to go to Windows settings. Maybe, let's see, policies. Let's go to Windows, no, not Windows settings, administrative templates, Windows components, all right. And then I want the Internet Explorer. It might be that on your computers, you want all your users to have the same home page, and I'm going to look for the policy that can set the home page, disable changing home page settings. I'm going to double click it. As you can see, it's not enabled. I'm going to click enabled, and then I'm going to type in www. Grand Canyon.edu, and then I'm going to click apply, click OK. So this policy now is enabled. If I go to edit, notice how it's now enabled, and there is the home page. So each time the user logs onto this system, they cannot change their home page. For Internet Explorer, though, this is set for all the users. I like group policy because if you have thousands of users, you just by simply doing this on your server, it's going to be applied to all the computers within your site, within your domain, within your organizational unit. But for this one, keep in mind that this policy only applies to the organizational unit. So as I mentioned, there are many policies. Make sure you play with them, take a look at them, see how they work, and get comfortable with them. See which ones you like, which one you can use within your organization. They all work differently. Some of them have to do with network access, as you can see, different policies. You can have some which are based on control panel settings, some which are based on network printers, some which are, they cover a whole wide range of things. It might be that you want to restrict the use of access to USB. You can also restrict that from group policy. You can deploy software, but if you're deploying software, it has to be packaged right. All right, so there you have it. After you apply it, you can jump on your client machine and test it to see that it is working correctly. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.